ikke, om det rigtigt, men det må du så finde ud af.
Det ser godt ud.
Welcome to my video. I completely forgot to film an intro while I was filming, so you get this semi-awkward voiceover instead. My name is Kira. I'm currently peeling willow switches for a wreath to put on the grave of the person who founded my scout group. He asked for people not to buy him flowers for his grave, but rather to donate to my scout group. And as a thanks, I thought I'll get my scouts to gather some nature materials and I'll make a zero budget wreath so that he gets some flowers at least.
Neat. I think I'll leave it at this. I've got 3 bright switches and the rest just green, natural green. Now, before you roast me in the comments, I am gonna clean this knife up after I finish the wreath. I am not gonna just leave it at that, so don't worry about my poor little knife. It will be alright, it will be treated kindly. Just so I have something to work here. I hate taking the bark. Oh shit! Fuck! My finger, whoa, that went blue. Didn't even notice that. Wow! I've never tried that before. It's red again now. That was kind of cool and kind of creepy. I hate the feeling of willow bark though. It's so, not slimy, but it's sticky. Also, it tastes really bitter. But then again, it contains, I think it's aspartame acid, which is a painkiller, a natural painkiller. I'm trying to break the fibers up here to make it take a round shape more easily. It will get even the more twigs or switches I work into the wreath. This is just the beginning. I think I like this size. And for the beginning, I'm going to secure it with a bit of thread. These shears are horrible. They've definitely seen better days. Just going to secure this. There we go. I'll just continue weaving those through.
So what you see me doing here is I'm just taking the switches one by one and sticking them through the wreath bit by bit all the way around as many times as I can, and trying to distribute both the thick ends as evenly as possible, as well as just distributing the sticks or switches as evenly as I can to make a nice wreath that is the same amount of thickness in all places. And also in the beginning you may have seen that it still looked a bit wonky and not like a perfect circle, but the more switches I add, the more they push and pull each other to make the wreath a perfect circle. So if you want to try this, don't worry if it doesn't start out being a perfect circle. It will get closer to a circular shape the more switches you add, and the more the pull and push of the switches will distribute the force evenly around the wreath.
So last step, use some of the nature materials my scouts gathered to lend some more prettiness to the wreath. I have some bark here, some lovely like red bark, red orange. Then we have some beech seed capsules, which I think look lovely too. Some birch twigs, some different kinds of pine, not pine cones, but fir cones, I guess. So last step, use some of the nature materials my scouts gathered to lend some more prettiness to the wreath. I have some bark here, some lovely like red bark, red orange. Then we have some beech seed capsules, which I think look lovely too. Some birch twigs, some different kinds of pine, not pine cones, but fir cones, I guess. Sadly, I don't think that this kind of dry grass will make that great of an addition, so I'll just keep that there. And we have a bit of moss. The cool thing about the moss is it might actually live on once the wreath is on the grave. I just don't know how to get the moss onto the wreath, so that's a whole other question to ask. I'll have to decide on the front, and I think this will be the front. Not as many loose ends here.
Here I'm just trying to figure out how to put everything so it looks nice.
Now the idea was to do this without any kind of unnatural material, but I think I'm gonna have to go for some hot glue, otherwise this is never gonna stick.
So sadly, put in the hot glue gun, let it warm up, while I try distributing everything the way I think looks nice. This was the by far most fun part about the whole project, because my scouts had been out and gathering switches and twigs, and some of them discovered that if you take the bark off this kind of dead piece of wood that was lying about, it's orange on the inside. So they took their little knives and cut some pieces of bark off. I should add, all of the scouts that were doing this were below the age of 10. So I'm super impressed by all the things I gathered and the effort.
Now the last thing, the moss. I can't actually glue that on because it has some earth on the bottom of it. So trying to glue it on would just result in me gluing on more and more pieces of dirt and the moss falling off anyway. So the best thing I can do is to put some thread around it and then water it with a mister in the next few days to keep it alive while the wreath is waiting for the funeral. So I'll get some twine or similar things to get the moss on. And then I'm actually thinking of putting the Danish word thank you in the middle, which is 3 letters only, it's tak. So if I put that in the middle, that might look nice. So I'm gonna get some twine for the moss and for the tak. Found some dark green thread for the moss, which I think is the best I could have done. And I found some just nature coloured twine to make the tak. I'm going to make it the way scouts do their building on campsites. I don't know what it's called in English. In Danish we call it pioneer, and pioneering would be the literal translation. No idea what it's called with English scouts though. So first for the moss, and next I'll do the tak.
Voiceover, 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 voiceover.
And now this is what we have. There we go. So just the word thank you tag here in the middle, or maybe up here at the top, depending on how wide it's going to be in the end. I think that would look nice.
Next thing, I'm just cutting the twigs to the right length to write with them. And the cool thing is, if you write it all in caps, then the word tag is perfectly suited to just be written with straight lines. No curves or anything. That makes it very easy to bind. I also decided to give it like a top border. One thing was to have something to attach it to the frame, to the actual wreath with. And the next thing was to kind of have them in a good position to each other. And I figured out that I could just use the dash across the T in the top and make that very long and make that be the top border. So putting it on the wreath. And later on my roomie came with the idea it looks nicer if they're all wide. So after this video I still scratched off some bark.
Trace it off. Snip it off. There we go. Lovely, beautiful. Now here we have the final product, a wreath made of mostly natural materials and a bit of hot glue. I'm kind of disappointed about the hot glue, but I think the looks of it do kind of make it worth the hot glue.
This is where you were supposed to see the final end result. I forgot to film that as well. So instead take this beautiful picture of a wreath. Sadly I did not have the opportunity to take one on the grave because I thought that was kind of irreverent. So this is what you've got. There you go, have a look.
So thank you for watching. And I won't insult your intelligence by telling you to do all the YouTube things to support me. I know that you know that it supports me, and if you want to do them, I'll be glad if you leave me a comment or a like or anything like that. If you don't want to, then don't. Easy as that. And I hope to see a lot of you and maybe some other new faces next time. Bye for now. Over and out.